name is Johnson. Good morning, everybody. Today we are here to present a presentation on the topic of Stop All the Clock. The another name of our poem is known as the Funnel Blue. First of all, I want to introduce my group. My name is Sabina Thapa, Tamara Powell, and the Russells. I'm going to present over here the biography, and she is going to present over here the literal meaning and the physical structure of the poem, and Russell is going to present over here the literary device and the conclusion. Now I'm going to start the presentation here from the biography. Our author name is Austin Hugh Auden. He was born in York, England, February 21, 1907. He came to the United States of America when he was a young boy with his parents. He thought that he would follow his parents' footsteps. His dad was physician and the professor of the medicine, and his mother was nurse. His early religion was Angelic Catholic. After some time, he changed his religions, and later on, he returned to it the same religions. When he was 8 years old, he started his education at Saint Edmund Preparatory School. Later on, he attended Christmas school at age of 13, where he started the first time of writing a poem. When he was 17 years old, he published his first poem. After his graduation, he spent a year in Germany, where he became familiar with the play by Brits. In 1937, Auden traveled to Spain and formed a group theatre. Auden also traveled to China, Iceland, and in 1939 he moved to the United States of America, where he became a teacher. He returned to the Anglo-Catholicism of his youth and wrote several long poems that explore his newly founded meditative introspection. The Age of Anxiety on his the Pulitzer Prize in 1948. Some of the Auden plays were written with his close friend Isherwood. Auden said that the poetry is the game of knowledge, a clear-eyed way approaching object with the truth. Auden is also known one of the master craftsmen of the modern poetry. On September 29, 1973, Auden gave a speech to a group of students in Vienna, Austria, and later that day he went to the bed and he died from the heart attack. Thank you. These are the biography which I got from the works site. This is my work site from where I got those information. Now she is going to present over here the literary meaning and physical structure.
In 1976 is when Stop All the Clock started being referred to as funeral blues. Auden wrote funeral blues dedicated to his friend, Louise MacNeice's wife. Funeral Blues was a co-authored play between Auden and Christopher Isherwood. The poem could either be sung or spoken by a friend or lover for a dead beloved. Auden has a great way of describing how they were at a funeral without ever saying those words. He would say instead, "He is dead," and let the policeman wear black cotton gloves. At the beginning of his lines, he would start them off using direct force, such as saying stop, prevent, and silence, to draw us in more to what he is saying. Auden writes the poem in the wife's point of view of how she doesn't want anyone or anything to ever be the same anymore because of the death. He writes, "Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good." As you can see, the poem is laid out in 4 stanzas with 4 lines written in each. The first 2 lines and the last 2 lines correlate with one another, following the pattern A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and so forth. The first stanza comes straight forward to tell us the poem will be about death by saying, "Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone." Auden exaggerates on death in the 3rd and 4th lines by saying, "Bring up the coffin and let the mourners come." At this point, he starts to bring people into the poem and not just things. He describes how the people are dressed for the funeral and how the policemen are to wear black cotton gloves. The third stanza, however, is way more intense than the previous ones, where he goes on to say, "He was my north, my south, my east, my west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong." And lastly, the fourth stanza is an even more painful grief by ending with, "The stars do not want it now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good."
All right, Odin did a really good job using multiple literary devices to get across to his, just to share the utter sadness and devastation that our narrator is feeling as they lost a loved one. Most of what I'm going to use today is just straight out of the textbook as far as the poem itself. So that was on page 539 of our text, the Norton Introduction of Literature. In lines, first, before I get into the lines, there's actually accents used throughout the entire poem with long vowels, O's, and U's. When you read this poem out loud, it sounds sad. It sounds like a bluesy, elegant, I can't say that word today, poem about death. Anyway, line 8, we'll start to see he uses symbolism, where he asks the traffic police, instead of wearing their traditional white gloves, to wear black gloves. Just represents death. And like Cameron said, at the funeral, they never come out and say we're going to a funeral, but it is implied throughout. There's exaggerated metaphors, like in lines 9, 10, and 11, where the narrator is saying he was my north, my south, my east, my west, my working week. Line 5 is one of my favorite lines, just as far as literary devices go, because he uses multiple devices. Personification with the airplanes, as they moan overhead, and moaning itself is an onomatopoeia. And the accents, again, we see aeroplanes circling, moaning overhead. There's lots of O's, and you just kind of hear the mourning come through. The very end of the poem, as it builds, is full of hyperbole. And it's just saying, pour away the ocean, dismantle the sun, put all the stars away. And you can just feel the narrator is completely devastated. In conclusion, I think Odin does a really good job of, death and love those are two events or two emotions that it's just really hard to put into words. So his exaggerated metaphors and the larger-than-life hyperbole, it's really the only way to try to explain what it would feel like to lose the love of your life. Some of the words he uses wouldn't make sense in another setting, but when you're talking about the death of your loved one, really that's all you can ask for, is just for time to stop, ask for silence, and try to find words to express your grief. I couldn't find any real critical analysis from his peers, and I think this poem could be very personal to anybody. Poetry, like love, is very flexible. So, whether you're a wife or a husband or whatever, you could change the him to a her, and you could really apply this as you imagine what it'd be like to lose the love of your life. And I think we could all agree that when death comes knocking, it's pretty easy just to say, please, let's stop all the clocks. Thank you.
This was mine. Oh.
name is Lupe Rodriguez, and this is the literal meaning of a noiseless patient spider. The story is made up of 2 stanzas of 5 lines. The first stanza describes his opinion around the scenery, as well as Whitman's characterization of the spider reads hopeless. The example is when the spider is quote-unquote isolated and will be quote-unquote